YouTubers, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching this transmission from. Sydney, Melbourne. Did I even spell Melbourne right? Melbourne. Yes, I did. Q1 numbers are up. Q1 numbers are falling into place. Sorry, I got an article here that was sent to me from Boots on the Ground down in Sydney? Yeah, down in Sydney. Thanks for sharing this with me. I'm going to share this with you guys right now. Sydney, Melbourne housing prices tipped to fall another 5%. Home prices in Australia's two largest housing markets of Sydney and Melbourne are falling, and more falls are expected later on in the year. So a lot of people messaged me, "Oh, Mike, it's only 5%. You don't know, it's nothing and this and that." Yeah, but 5% off $1,000,000 is money, man. You got money. That's money. I don't want to lose 5 points off $1,000,000. So far this year, home values are down 1.9%. So that's from January till March, okay? So far this year, home values are down 1.9% in Sydney, 0.5% in Melbourne. The latest data from the property analytics group CoreLogic shows prices have fallen 1% across the 5 largest capital cities. AMP, Capital's chief economist Shane Oliver, said the 2 largest cities had been a drag on the national housing market this year. Remember, a lot of people are leaving the big city, moving to smaller towns or 40 minutes, an hour away, and commuting to work. But the people that are living in the big cities are bringing up the national average higher in smaller cities because then, you know what I'm saying? But the big cities are weighing it down by bringing down the national average. 5% does mean a lot. Weighed down by tightening of lending standards and more realistic price expectations by home. Realistic price expectations. Who the hell? And affordability. Affordability. He predicts that Sydney and Melbourne property prices will fall another 5 points or so this year, with further falls likely next year. So guys, keep this in mind. 5% off $1,000,000 and another 5% off $1,000,000 and another 5% off $1,000,000, the bottom's going to fall right out. There's nowhere else for it to go. By contrast, home prices in Perth and Darwin are either at close to the bottom. Price growth is likely to moderate in Adelaide and Canberra, but it pick up a bit at Brisbane thanks to stronger population growth and boom of the Hobart has way yet to go, Dr. Oliver said. Consistent with the fall in Sydney and Melbourne property prices, auction clearance rates and home sales have also fallen. Sydney's auction clearance was 67.1%, with 775 homes going under the hammer during the week of April 8th, CoreLogic said. This is markedly lower. This is markedly. I don't even think that's English. Markedly. Yeah, I'm reading it right. I know I can't read, but I'm reading that right. This is markedly low. What does that mean? It means it's falling. At the same period a year ago, where 1,436 homes were up for auction, 77.7% sold. As for Melbourne, 69.6% of the 720 homes auctioned last week were sold, in comparison with 79.3% with 1,488 auctions at the same period a year ago. So things are starting to simmer off big time. Dr. Oliver said that the surge in the number of apartments, notably in Sydney, was largely behind the fall in the home values was rising concerns about an oversupply. No. They keep saying supply demand. No one's talking about all the empty homes, all the empty repossessed homes that are happening right now. All the cranes in these big cities towering all over the city. No one's talking. There's no such thing as oversupply when you get 100,000 empty units or 200,000 empty units across the country. There's no oversupply. It's people being greedy and not renting out their units, so people have to relocate outside the city for more affordable dwellings. He said this is also spurred and called as stories pending housing market crash, which is a technical term meant by a 20% fall in the national average home value. But crash remains unlikely. Well, you know what? I beg to differ. I really beg to differ against you, Dr. Oliver. I know you are a doctor, and I know you have more education than I ever will in my entire life. But this, I've seen the patterns, people. Why hasn't Sydney and Melbourne crashed yet? Because of the underlying structures put into place. All this first-time home buyer loans, blah, 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 Mickey Mouse this, Mickey Mouse that, and oversupply, bring down the pricing. No, there's something at play here, and there's something a lot bigger at play. And like I said, people, there's underlying things happening that nobody knows. But the higher enchiladas up top. He said that he had not kept up with population growth and housing. What population growth? People aren't having kids because they're holding back from buying property. They're holding back from getting married. They're holding back from taking good jobs. They're holding back from everything because they can't afford to live in the big cities. What population growth? I don't know where this is coming. What population? Australian property isn't mass producing. What are they talking about? And housing demand over the last decade, and it was dangerous, generalized. Sorry, I can't even read. But I didn't buy a house for $2 million that's actually worth 300 grand. Because while Sydney and Melbourne property prices had surged in recent years, they have fallen in Perth and Darwin. Why? Perth is the boom, the mining boom is gone. Darwin has been steady in other capital cities. Guys, I wanna just say, watch my Living the Dream series on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, watch the Living the Dream series where I left the big city. I moved 240 kilometers outside the big city. I live in a small town now. I bought a 10-bedroom, you could call it a 10-bedroom, 7-bath home for $260,000 on a 0.9 acre of land in a cul-de-sac. And everyone living in my cul-de-sac are firefighters and police officers and that moved from the big city that wanted to continue their careers but in smaller towns or smaller cities. An ambulance worker just moved in a couple of blocks down from me too. Anyways, I'd like to thank... I've been receiving donations on my PayPal. I want to thank people for that. That means a lot to me. My PayPal link is above on my channel. You'll see a PayPal link. It really means a lot to me that people are actually donating through PayPal. I'm like, wow. And like people leaving messages saying, you know, I'm lucky I didn't buy when I did, and you've been holding me back for the last 2-3 years. It's worth more than all the money in the world and things like that. I am so grateful, guys. I am extremely grateful for that. It actually, you know, brings a tear to my eye. I'm not asking for nothing. I don't want anything. But when someone goes out of their way to give me $1 or $5 of their hard-earned money, it's like, what? That means a lot to me. And if it means anything to you guys, all the money does get donated to the women's shelter. The battered women's shelter I've been donating to in Vancouver for the last, it's going to be 7 years now. I've been donating there on a monthly basis, so I've been doing this. Yeah, it is kind of a tax thing too, but still, I am contributing, and I do want to help to the infrastructure. Let me know what you guys think in Australia, what's going on from all over the English-speaking world. I'd like to know. This is how it happens, especially when there's a lot of outside intervention we don't know about, right? And then once that intervention starts falling apart, we're going to see what happens. There's rumors that they don't want to sell to foreigners anymore, just like New Zealand is doing. So there's rumors floating around everywhere on how Australia is going to fix this affordability crisis. I think it's just going to cause a huge migration into smaller towns. And people like me, for example, I owned a company, sold my company on the coast, sold everything at profit, moved away, moved here. But then a lot of people, what they can start doing is start realizing that, hey, you know what? I'm going to open my little tech firm out in the country. There's a lot of techies that moved out there. Hey, I'm going to move my construction company out to the country. There's more building going on there. And I'm a small construction outfit. I could get a few jobs there, some contracting jobs, fixing people's homes. If you're a contractor, a carpenter, a plumber, electrician, get out of the city, move to a small town. Get a big place, a nice piece of land for the family, start doing contract work all over town. You'll be surprised of how many young people and family starting out, moving out to the small city to try and get, you know, their foot in the door. And generally speaking, you will find work. People are going to need electrical work on those older homes. People are going to need plumbing work, and people are going to want to install wells. People are going to want to do things. Get out of the city, people. For me, it's a scam. I have so much disposable income nowadays because I'm not paying the $2,400 rent I was going to pay down in Vancouver. And then you're probably wondering, well, you're still paying a mortgage. No, I just took the down payment that I saved in Vancouver to buy this house free and clear. So all I have to do is pony up $1,800 a year for property tax. That's it. So look at the upside when leaving the big cities. Leave the big cities and protest and show the politicians that you're not putting up with this. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Sydney, Melbourne, Q1. Things are trickling in. We're going to have a big show. It's going to be Thursday, I think it's going to be noon Sydney time or 2 p.m. Sydney time. No, it's going to be, no, it's noon Sydney time, 2 p.m. Auckland time, Thursday. Live. I'll have open lines if you guys are on lunch break, you want to call in. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Big hug to everybody down under.